Speculative story about a March Madness matchup between Creighton and Oregon. The madness begins. It was March 23, 2024, and the NCAA men's basketball tournament was reaching the pivotal Sweet 16 round. One of the matchups had 9th-seeded Creighton taking on 5th-seeded Oregon in a West Regional semifinal in Las Vegas. The stakes were high as both teams looked to keep their magical seasons alive and punch their ticket to the Elite Eight. For Creighton, it had been an up-and-down year filled with injuries and inconsistency. But they had caught fire at just the right time, winning the Big East tournament as a 7 seed to earn an auto bid to the Big Dance. Ryan Kalkbrenner, their 7 feet 1 inch center, had returned from a mid-season injury and was rounding into form as an interior force. Oregon had a different narrative, steamrolling through the Pac-12 with their dynamic backcourt of senior Shakur Giston and sophomore phenom Mav Ryan Miles. Coach Dana Altman's squad was healthy and playing its best basketball after some early season turmoil with off-court issues that had threatened to derail their campaign. As the teams warmed up in the electrifying atmosphere of T-Mobile Arena on the Las Vegas Strip, the sense of anticipation was palpable. The raucous fans, decked out in the blue of Creighton and yellow and green of Oregon, traded chants and cheers, adding to the already intense energy. Tip-off fireworks. When the ball finally went up, the game opened up at a blistering pace with both teams trading buckets. It was clear from the outset that this was going to be an offensive showdown. Creighton's veteran guards Ryan Hawkins and Ryan Nembhard were simply unconscious, burying jumpers from all over the floor. But the Ducks guard tandem of Giston and Miles was matching them shot for shot. With a decided athletic edge, they were relentlessly attacking the basket and finishing at the rim. By the first media timeout with 15:32 left in the half, the score was knotted at 15-15. The back-and-forth high-octane battle continued unabated for the remainder of the first half as the lead swung back and forth. Kalkbrenner was a huge factor on the interior, using his massive frame to buy scoring chances and dominate on the glass. His Oregon counterpart, N'Faly Dante, battled valiantly but was overmatched by Creighton's big man. The referees were letting them play, much to the delight of the highly entertaining affair. Players were hitting the deck frequently as the physicality ramped up. The scoring clip barely wavered as the period closed with Creighton clinging to a 44-42 halftime edge. The national TV audience was being treated to an absolute March masterpiece. A second-half slugfest. Neither team was able to seize control coming out of the halftime break as the back-and-forth drama unfolded without interruption. Creighton's sharpshooters, Baylor Shea Ehrman and Trey Alexander, continued to bomb away, while Miles and Giston checked them with slick ball handling and furious finishes. With just over 10 minutes remaining in a tie game, the intensity went to a fever pitch. The scoring barrages were disrupted by a logjam of bodies on the floor after a loose ball. Jawing and finger-pointing precipitated a benches-clearing scrum as tensions boiled over. After an extensive video review, 3 players were ejected, Kalkbrenner, Dante, and Oregon's Jermaine Couisnard, as the teams were hit with opposing technical fouls. Suddenly, both teams were short-handed with 2 of the key big men out of the game. The pace and physicality were ratcheted up even further as the final 10 minutes commenced in an absolute street fight. Shea Ehrman and Alexander took over for Creighton, draining a barrage of triples to give the Blue Jays a 79-73 lead with 5:05 to go. But the resilient Ducks would not go away as Giston brought them back with a series of bravura plays plus clutch free throws from Miles. Deadlocked at 82-82 as the final minute approached, it was clear this classic was destined for an epic conclusion. A legendary finish. With the raucous crowd on its feet, the teams traded turnovers and missed opportunities as the final seconds ticked away, neither able to find the winning basket in regulation. After a timeout with 7.2 seconds left, Creighton inbound and put the ball in Alexander's hands. The crafty guard pump faked and leaned into a three-pointer, but it caught iron no good as time expired. The madness was now headed to overtime as the already delirious crowd hit a fever pitch. In the extra session, Oregon struck first with Giston knifing for a layup and a quick 84-82 lead. The Blue Jays came right back with Arthur Kalima executing a picturesque give-and-go to knot the score once more. It stayed nip and tuck as each possession escalated the drama and intensity. The tally was knotted at 92-92 with a minute left when Creighton ran clock and set up for a final possession. That's when pandemonium broke out. The Blue Jays worked the ball to Kalima on the left wing and the 6 feet 8 inches stud pump faked his man, dribbled across the lane and went up for what appeared to be a game-winning layup attempt. But from out of nowhere, Oregon's Nate Biddle skied into the play and emphatically rejected Kalima's shot with a seismic two-handed swat. The ball ricocheted into the backcourt with just seconds remaining as Biddle pounded his chest and roared. Oregon's Keyshawn Barthélemy grabbed the rock off the floor, wheeled, and saw Miles streaking towards the other end. Barthélemy unleashed the arching bomb that seemed more a desperate heave than an actual shot attempt. Somehow, astonishingly, the ball fell through the net just before the final buzzer as Miles danced underneath and pandemonium exploded inside T-Mobile Arena. The Ducks had won in one of the most incredible finishes in NCAA tournament history, an overtime classic for the ages by the final score of 94-92. It was the type of breathtaking drama that epitomizes why they call it March Madness. Two heavyweights had traded haymakers for 45 scintillating minutes and in the end, the Ducks pulled off an all-time stunner to keep their dream season alive. As their delirious celebration commenced center court, the shell-shocked Creighton players could only watch helplessly, their fairy tale run having come to an abrupt and utterly crushing end. In the aftermath, the extraordinary events were replayed on highlight reels and social media feeds around the world. Biddle's soaring rejection and Barthélemy's prayer had instantly become two of the most iconic moments in tournament history. The Oregon-Creighton epic had instantly taken its place as an all-time March Madness classic before the teams had barely left the court. And the madness would only get bigger as Oregon advanced to face UCLA in the Elite Eight. This was why they played the games.